Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sulk stream. How's it going tonight? I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone's chilling and being cool and all that stuff. Hope you guys had a good yesterday and yesterday evening and today and a good day away. How's it going, guys? Is it going good? Fantastic. We're talking about Canada tonight, and it is falling apart as a country, but so is the rest of the West. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry points tonight that I'm going to hit across. A lot of Indians and Muslims, Somalians, and all that stuff. So this is a good long documentary. I think we're going to enjoy it. So buckle up. Grab a nice drink. What do Canadians drink? Moose piss? I have no idea. God, I am so happy I was not born Canadian. That could have been bad. It was close. It was close. But nope. American. Sweet. Anyways, if you're working, keep working. If you were driving, please keep driving. Drive safely. I hope you get home safely. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to help out the show in any way, you can do it through my PayPal, through my Ko-Fi, through Rumble Rants. There's a lot of ways. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And this is called How to Kill a Nation. Enjoy.
Oh, Canada. What the hell is going on here? You were once the shining example of what other countries always dreamed to be. A safe, free, prosperous society that allowed every generation to do better than the last. A nation that welcomed immigrants with open arms, while
not really.
still upholding the values that made Canada.
Not really. I mean, they really only started really allowing immigrants since 2010? Before that, yeah, you could immigrate, but it'd be pretty tough. I mean...
But terrible things are happening in the land of maple syrup, with more and more Canadians now realizing that their beloved country is becoming
It is a real country, but, not for long. It's going to be a state soon, which will be cool, I guess. You know, it's not even going to be our most... It's not going to be our most prosperous state, not by a long shot. It's going to be, third place behind California and Texas. Maybe. It's not a very powerful.
Less recognizable by the day. From a devastating housing crisis to a miserable economy to increasing rates of crime.
Crack open a Molson Ice and leer about
to a
Canada.
Catastrophic brain drain to a broken immigration system to a deadly healthcare program. Canada is clearly heading in the wrong direction and closer than ever to becoming a failed state. Unlike most videos that only scratch...
So what happens if Canada becomes a failed state? Is it still just there? Everyone's just like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to keep doing whatever we're doing.
The surface of one or two problems.
How is it not a failed state now? It's just a bunch of people in the woods.
This will be a comprehensive exploration into all of Canada's systemic issues that many around the world will relate to.
Africans.
Ordinary people who are hurting deserve real change to a status quo that has failed them for so long. However, serious change requires serious attention. So to understand what's going on in Canada that is making life a nightmare for millions of Canadians, stick around because this is How to Kill a Nation.
Justin Bieber.
The year is 2008. Kids are going to their...
Oh, man. 2008. I remember 2008. It sucked. 2008 sucked. And, I mean, I guess the years before that were all right. 2004 was okay. 2000, yeah, around then was okay.
Local blockbuster to see the latest movies.
2008 fucking sucked.
Like The Dark Knight, Kung Fu Panda, Iron Man, and WALL-E. Meanwhile, their
and that's when it really started to suck, right? 2008. Well, after 2008, it really started to suck, and then it sucked for a while. And then once we hit 2016, then it really started to suck. Much harder. And then we hit 2020, and then, boy, this sucks hard. And now here we are, and everyone's just like, just kill us. Just kill us at this point. Just kill us.
Parents are doing great. A couple years ago, the bank offered them a fantastic loan to buy a first-time home that was well beyond their expectations. Or for other families, a loan for a newer, bigger house than the one they previously had. These families continue to make their mortgage.
Dude, back then in like 2006, 7, 8 or something like that, people would buy enormous houses. 4,000, 5,000, just gigantic houses. And they'd be like, yeah, I work at Denny's. And yeah, and a lot of them made a ton of money off of it, right? Because they'd buy it off of like a free loan and then turn around and sell it like a year or two later and make several $100,000. And some people got caught with the potato, got caught with the bag. They didn't do so well.
Payments until one day they couldn't. Over the course of 2 years leading up to the crash, millions of Americans defaulted on predatory loans and were forced by the banks to liquidate their homes. But because America was and still is the biggest economy in the world, this subprime mortgage crisis, as it's now called, triggered a wider financial recession that led to the largest global economic...
I like how they call it subprime. Subprime. Yeah. They're not exactly prime. It's not like they're junk. Absolute garbage loan. Ninja loans is what they were called. No income, no job, no assets. They were just handing out money for free with really no expectation that these people were ever going to pay on those loans. And when they bought houses, the housing market kept going up at that point. And so they're all like, whatever, if they don't pay, we'll just repossess a house and we're making money anyway. So they were just dumping money into the housing market. And of course, that's going to form a bubble. It's different now. They're not dumping free loans into the housing market. No, now all the boomers, here we go with the boomers. It's 10 minutes in. Now all the boomers are relying on the housing market for their retirement. So they're not going to sell for less than what they want to live off of for the rest of their life. And so it made a very stale market. No one wants to lower their prices. No one wants to sell for less than what they think it's worth or, a profit. They don't need to sell these houses. They usually have multiple houses. This is just an investment property for them that they leave open, oftentimes not even renting it out. Thanks, boomers. Thank you.
Economic crash since the Great Depression. But something really weird happened in Canada.
Orange says, dude, I was making like $40K and had $1,000 mortgage. I was making it to the big leagues. I wish I had $1,000 mortgage again. $1,000 mortgage is very reasonable. Man, can you imagine $1,000 mortgage? That would be crazy. That means like to rent, you'd be paying like $600. 600. That's a nice rent. That's a very comfortable rent. Obviously, that doesn't exist anymore, but maybe you can get $600 in like some sort of sewer system, or maybe in Minnesota, around a bunch of Somalians. But then you have to live around a bunch of Somalians, and so you couldn't pay me to do that. You couldn't pay me to do that.
Words of the greatest Canadian band to ever exist. Let's look at this graph.
Goddamn
Here
boomers.
we see Canada and America's housing prices starting from 1990 and how it's been moving since, adjusted for inflation, of course. In an ideal world...
Dan Snot says my dad had $1,000 mortgage. Well, Jess's parents had like a $500 mortgage on their house, which they paid off years ago, right? But it was like $400 or $500 a month for like... I don't know. I think it was 30 years. It could have been 30 years. I'm not exactly sure. But, oh boy, that sucks for your lake house. I'm so sorry.
People are probably fine with essentials like food and shelter rising in price every year, just as long as it moves roughly in line with inflation. Meaning, if the price of homes, groceries, and gas increased 2% this year, that's okay because your wage rose by 2% as well. In this hypothetical situation, that would mean the graph would show both countries' lines staying flat at the 100 level, where the price of housing is growing, but only at the rate of inflation, which keeps the real cost of housing the same. Of course, this obviously...
Look, okay, if housing cost... All right. It's not the same because your wages don't rise with inflation. Okay, a house could rise with inflation and the same, and it would cost the same, right? But your wages are not going to rise with inflation. That's the entire point of inflation. The point of inflation is to be able to pay you less, and they have more money. They have more money to control you with. That's the whole reason inflation exists. It's not to help anything else out. It's just to get you to work more for less. That is the reason for inflation. It's a tax. I mean, right? That's right. Right?
Didn't happen. And both Canada and the United States saw the cost of shelter increase year by year well beyond inflation. But unlike the US,
despite says the cheapest, dumpiest apartment I ever had was $440 a month 20 years ago. Now it's $900. And a $900 apartment today sounds like a dump, dude. What was it? A 1-1? Was it a studio? What?
State fell back to more affordable levels after the recession. The price of Canadian housing never really dropped, and in fact, only continued to go up and up.
Farrell says my first apartment was $650, and it was really nice actually. They go for $1,200 now. Where'd you live, Farrell? Where'd you get? Because I remember my first apartment was like $8, somewhere around there.
And up. Now, don't get me wrong. America's home prices are also way too high right now.
But it included
and should ideally
cable?
come back down. But imagine
it included cable. That's weird.
Living in Canada, where it's this. Among all the countries in the G7, Canada is by far the worst when it comes to housing affordability.
A studio loft for $900? Damn. I mean, it makes sense. But damn.
Illustrate this issue, let's play a fun game I'll call
It was on a golf
Guess the
course?
Canadian Home. We'll start.
Farrell says her first apartment was on a golf course. And it was, what was it again? It was $650 a month on a golf course. Grandview, Missouri? Is it Missouri? MO? Is it Missouri? Yeah. That's the KC side of the Kansas City side of the state. Well, it's in the middle of the country. All right, it's one of those. It's one of those places.
Start with contestant number 1, a stunning 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom.
Mine was like $800 in California, right? And it was like, I mean, it's California. California is always going to be more expensive, but like now, I don't even. It would probably be closer to $2,000. Probably pretty easily $2,000.
House with a 2-car garage, a cool kitchen island, a completely open second floor for you to design to your liking, and a nice large balcony to relax and grill some barbecue for just $982,000. Next stop, we have the most gorgeous 5-bed, 6-bath villa built just a few years ago, featuring your very own private pool, a conference room where you can maximize.
By the way, having a pool is expensive. Not like building a pool is insanely expensive. Trust me on that. It is insanely expensive. Having a pool, owning a pool, it is a nightmare. It is a costly nightmare. We are constantly having to get it cleaned, get it serviced, filter changes. I used to clean pools, right? It can really add up. If there's a crack in the pool, you have to pay for repairs and stuff like that. You need to get it redone every like 20 or so years. I forget exactly what you have to do, but you have to overhaul the whole damn thing. A lot of people are just burying their pools. They're just putting dirt in it. And they're like, okay, I'm done with this shit. I mean, you have kids for what? I mean, you have kids, which most people don't have these days. Most people don't have kids. So, like, you get the pool for the kids, and once they move out, how often do you go into the pool? Not often. And then it just becomes an expense, right? And if you don't spend that money, it just becomes a swamp in your backyard. So a lot of people are just fucking filling them up, putting dirt in them. It's a garden now. It's a lawn. I don't know how the city feels about that, but whatever.
Shareholder value, a cool looking kitchen with flowers, a close up of the flowers because why not?
Them's nice flowers. Orchids? That's some fancy orchids. Look, there's blue in the counter. I'm sure you can change the color too. There's probably an app right? I want a red counter now. Boom, you got it. Maybe it's like Smart House. You know the Disney Channel movie with what's that chick? She was in Married with Children. She voiced Leela. She was in Sons of Anarchy. What's her name? Yeah. I would change the color. I don't like this kind of style myself. I wouldn't live in a house like this. I feel like this is lifeless and kind of tacky. But if that's your style, that's your style. It's still very nice. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my vibe. It's nice. Not for me, though.
Shot of the flowers, because why not? And a
Katie Seagal. Thank you, Dan.
children's bedroom, all for $1.3 million.
Too expensive. That's too expensive. That's not a $1.3 million house. That is not it. And it's next to a field. It's just next to a field. This is like a, I don't know what they grow here. Turnips? The other side, look. Also turnips. Not worth that. Not $1.3 million. That is a fucking scam.
And lastly, we have our third house of the day. A magnificent 5-bed, 3-bath.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Something with a little old world charm. Okay. All right, I bet this is reasonably priced too.
Duplex, which means you get the privilege of having someone on the other side of your wall hear
Damn, you don't even get to live on it. Oh. It's a duplex. Wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do that.
You do. On the inside, we see some gently used floors that just need a bit of scrubbing. Beautiful furniture that can be flexibly rearranged. A room perfectly suitable for living. Incredible lighting.
We've been playing a lot of Ready or Not, the police simulator where you go, and it's kind of like this. You go into houses like this, and there's some crackhead like vibrating on the floor and shit. So, yeah.
State-of-the-art heating and plumbing. A well-seasoned bathroom with a sample of the house's interior cut open to remind you of its strong structural integrity.
I like that. That's a nice touch.
Softly dusted basement to keep the kids and rats sheltered.
Who needs walls? Who needs that pesky drywall? That just... I mean, I don't even see my house. I don't see the insulation or the framing or anything like that. Now it's not even made out of wood, by the way. This looks like, it's just, I have no idea what this is. These are plumbing pipes.
Another room with a big, beautiful window to let all the sun in. A second bathroom with...
And no one can escape from that window. So, you know, I'm not saying this is a kidnapping house, but you can't get out. The door locks are on the outside.
4 unique wall designs. 5 if you include the natural fade from years of moisture eroding.
Dan Sal says, I wish we had basements in California. The rich people do. They all have like bunkers. Everyone's building bunkers right now. And it's not like... Man, everyone knows why. Everyone knows why they're building bunkers right now. Because shit's about to hit the fan. And it's just, they don't want to be a part of it. They're going to lock themselves in their bunkers with their big TVs and their golf simulators and their beans. I bet their cans of beans are super fancy too. Like self-heating or something. And they're just going to hang out there. Mark Zuckerberg's just down in his basement. It's probably all gothic.
In the back of the sink, a storage room to fit the ATM you stole last week to afford the monthly mortgage payment for this house, a third bathroom, wow, what a treat, with a portable toilet, and a scenic backyard.
That's a camping chair. That was not a portable toilet. You didn't even cut a hole in the bottom of that. Come on, I'm not a fool. This is a disgusting yard. I hate this yard. But if you clean it up a little bit, look, there's a nice deck back there. There's fencing. There's a hammock that's hung too low, which is like, come on. How hard is it to hang a hammock? Is it really that difficult? Is it? He's going to bring Weird Al in for entertainment. Zuckerberg's going to have Weird Al in his bunker.
That may or may not contain a dozen used needles throughout the site.
May or may not.
This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to call everything here your home will cost you just $1.8 million. So, which one?
Whoa! Whoa. Whoa. That piece of luxury right there is almost $2 million. $2 million? $2 million? Why? Why?
Is the Canadian home? If you guessed contestant number 3, you'd be correct. Toronto is where you'll be paying 50 years worth of wages to have this marvelous half of a house. Oh, but come on, Bofang, that's ridiculous. How is anyone supposed to live in this thing without spending $1 million more and years of red tape to completely rebuild it?
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Because you can't just remodel a house. You have to ask the government to be like, hey, can I make my house livable? And they'll like, well, there's going to be a lot of inspectors, and we're going to, it's going to take several years, and it's probably going to cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and yeah, maybe we'll get around to... You can't just put up drywall in your own house, you maniac. You can't work on your own plumbing. You can't wire your own electric. What are you going to do? You're going to start a fire. You could destroy this beautiful home. This beautiful fucking crack shack.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Let's try
Location, something. Canada is vast. And it is nothing but unending wilderness. But you have to live in Toronto? Yes, you do. Because it is literally against the law to go out in the woods and build a cabin. That's what they used to do. They used to just go out in the woods with an axe, right? Maybe a mule and some hardtack and maybe a little beef jerky and just be like, I'm going to go find a spot, maybe next to a river. I'm going to start hacking down trees and I'm going to build myself a beautiful cabin out of the woods itself. People have done that recently, and the government has come in and they've taken them out, put them in jail, and been like, you can't do that. And they condemn the house because it wasn't up to standards. It wasn't permitted or something like that. You can't do that. They got you for life. Don't act like you can escape this system. You're a prisoner. They're not going to let you just run off like that.
Here's a beautiful 4-bedroom place with the cozy...
Canada is gay. This is true. It is gay, yes.
The ambience of a grandmother's home where she overfeeds you and lets you stay up way longer than you normally should. Final price? $1.2 million. Next house, 5-bed, 3-bath. This would quite literally be the perfect dream home with all the space you would need to raise a large multi-generational family for $1.8 million. Finally, we have a modest 2-bed, 2-bath house with a basic interior that gets the job done.
Still
this would
gets the job done. That would be a wonderful home. That would be a wonderful home to live in. I'd be very happy living in that house.
Have been considered a nice little starter home affordable to really any young boomer who was working a regular job right out of high school supporting their family. But today, it's $2 million USD. And yep, you guessed it, this is the Canadian home in Ottawa, where it's filled with snobby bureaucrats and freezing for 8 months of the year. And keep in mind, I'm not comparing Canada to developing countries that have dirt cheap housing and way lower standards of living. I'm showing you famous cities considered...
There's a lot of young people that are just bailing and being like, we're going to go live in Vietnam because we can buy a mansion for like $200,000. If that, right? It might be 70 grand. And then you're living in a beautiful tropical paradise. And like, yeah, so what? You live in like Saigon or whatever. And you can adapt, right? You can adapt. A lot of people can't move because they have family and like this is their home and shit like that. I understand that point of view. But like, come on, if you're spending $2 million on a crack house, just leave. Just go. Go somewhere. Go somewhere nice. You can go to Florida, right? There's a lot of Canadians moving to Florida. You can move to Florida and you can get a decent house for well under $2 million. Way under $2 million, right? Like a quarter of that. No problem. No problem. Thank God I wasn't born in Canada.
To be some of the world's best places to live, where the rich and successful want to be. Tokyo, Venice, New York. This is literally just a few miles from the Eiffel fucking Tower. Meanwhile, this is a house in Vancouver, which looks decent enough, until you learn that it's 12 million US dollars. Yes.
Holy shit. $12 million? For that? What kind of fuckery is going on in Canada? Is it, why are Indians and Somalians there moving there in droves? But if you're like a native, like white Canadian, you have to spend $12 million on this piece of shit. Why is that? Okay.
This old, mediocre home that no one in any normal country would consider special is more expensive than houses in Hong Kong, Dubai, Hawaii, Singapore, and Beverly Hills. Places with way more prestige and way less depressing.
Beverly Hills! I wouldn't live in Beverly Hills. I would never live there, but I mean, like, it's Beverly Hills. It's the 90210. That's a fancy zip code.
Weather. There should be absolutely zero reason why it's so much more expensive to live in Canada compared to all these other cool places. It's even cheaper to just buy your own private island in the Caribbean or Florida.
I would buy a fucking island. I would. Oh my God, if I had the cash. You guys, why aren't you giving me enough cash to buy an island? We can share it. You guys can come and live on the island and stuff. Obviously, a separate part of the island, right? But like, you can live on the island and then like work, rolling cigars and stuff like that, or like cutting up cocaine, doing something useful, because that's what I would need. But you could do that. Why not? Why don't you want to chip in? Why don't you want to be a part of this? I don't think you guys really want to be a part of this. You guys just don't have what it takes. I thought you did. I really did.
Oh, and the bonus house included is still in better shape than the one you get in Canada.
Gorgeous!
But Bofang, we're talking about the world's second largest country here. How in the hell is housing so expensive?
All right, let's be fair. It is a frozen tundra. Okay? From like all this. This isn't even fucking water. This is just ice. This is all just frozen ass tundra. Alaska's kind of nice. But that's because it's over here. Not here. This is frozen as shit, dude. This is polar bears and stuff.
Expensive when they clearly have no shortage of living space. Well, you'd be correct if you...
Christian says, I subscribe to your locals. What more do you want? I want millions of dollars. That's what I want. Is that so much to ask, Chad? Is it?
We're asking 200 years ago. In fact, land was so bountiful and cheap back then that for nearly a century, Canada gave any immigrant willing to settle west of Ontario 160 acres for free. But most people aren't farmers anymore, and urbanization means that what you think of as Canada is really just 3 tiny zones disguised as a country.
I've been here to this little, what is this, Vancouver? I've been to Vancouver-y. Vancouver's actually lovely. But a lot of drugs. There's a big drug problem there. And it's been years. It's been like 8 years since I was there. Haven't been to this side. Don't really plan on going. I don't know what's over here. I don't know what's this. What is that? I don't know what that is.
Because of this, the nation's urban areas are actually some of the densest places in the entire continent, which kind of makes sense when you realize that cold American cities like Chicago and Seattle are still warmer than the warmest parts of Canada like Toronto and Vancouver. However, it's not actually density that causes Canadian housing to be so insanely overpriced. Otherwise, Barcelona, Taipei, Athens, and Bangkok would all be way more expensive. The real reasons are a lot more complicated, although the result is fairly straightforward. More than 1 in 10 Canadians will experience some form of homelessness in their lifetime. And if you want to find any...
Imagine being homeless in Canada. That's got to be rough. Right? Look, I get you get free healthcare and stuff. But like that healthcare is like a rope tied to a rafter. But we're not going down that route. Or we're not going down the healthcare route where it's all like, man, death? You can kill yourself. It's pretty cheap. It's not free. It is not free. But it's pretty cheap. No, it is free, right? Free healthcare. So you just get in the tube, and then you press the button, and then you drift off. But you don't actually drift off. You actually writhe in pain because your brain is dying, and it knows it. But besides all that, even if you have free suicide care, is it worth it? You paid $12 million for a shit shack? Is it worth that? Doesn't seem worth it. And it's cold all year round. And yeah, people used to be polite. People used to be happy, and crime used to be low. And like, that is the thing of the past. That is long in the past, my friend. Now it's a bunch of Jamaicans and Somalians and Indians and stuff shitting everywhere and eating people's pets. Is it worth it? Is it really worth it? I know it's not. This is a rhetorical question. I know for a fact it is
Anything
not.
for less than $500,000 in Canada, you'll either need to cram yourself in a shoebox or accept the fact.
Farrell says it's not really healthcare. Take over 6 months to get an MRI. Yeah, well, they say it's free, right? If you get exploded in a Muslim peace bombing, then you will get taken to the hospital, and then they'll determine whether it is worth saving your life, depending on your skin color. And if you are, if you're not a bioweapon, then they're probably just going to toss you in the trash.
Fact that you'll be spending at least 3 hours a day commuting for work, or just live in Winnipeg. And people wonder why no one in the country is having children. Whatever housing problems other countries
Renee says, Luke is hard. I know you'll be sick of my shit soon.
have, which are themselves awful and requires urgent
Don't know what you guys are talking about, but
action, still pales in comparison to the catastrophe in the true north. So it's no surprise the vast majority of Canadians think owning your own home is a luxury. Imagine something that
Americans think that. Americans think owning your own home. And look, Canada and the United States are enormous. And if you ever try to drive across the country, I'm sure some of you have. If you ever try to drive across the country, it is endless wilderness. You don't even get cell phone service in a lot of places. Maybe on the East Coast it's different, but like in like California, when you start driving like out, like going through Nevada, it is stark wilderness. It is nothing. And I'm not saying like there's a few spotted gas stations. I'm like, you're driving across the surface of another planet. No cell phone service, no nothing. Forever. For hours and hours and hours and hours. Montana, fucking all that. That's land. You can use that land. Right? That's not what it's about. It's about keeping you homeless. It's about keeping you on your toes, so you work as hard as you possibly can, so they can drain every drip of productivity out of you that they possibly can, right? And if you are actually able, then you might have a nice enough life, but most people won't. Most people will just be at the edge of survival for their entire lives. And obviously, the people are sick of it. It's unfair. It's unfair. And it's not because of economics. It's not because of economics. It's strictly because of regulations, red tape, bureaucracy, and just bullshit law. Bullshit law that says you can't build here. You can't work here. You have to have a permit to do this. Oh, we don't want to get this town any bigger because we like the small town feel. You can't build your house out there even though no one is fucking out there because you just can't. Because you just can't. It ruins the native wilderness. You can't do it just because you can't do it. No, you have to live in the city. And if you can't live in the city in a nice house with like bricks and a fucking stairs and, maybe an elevator or something like that, then you live in a tent outside. You live outside. right? You live outside, but we're keeping you here. You are not allowed to leave Sector 7G. You are not permitted to leave this zone. That's what's going to happen, right? Eventually, they're going to chip us all somehow in one way or another. It's not going to be too tough. And then we're going to be geo-locked to places. Oh, what are you doing outside of your town? Oh, I just wanted to come and get a bagel or something like that. Well, now you're going to jail. Now you're going to jail because you left your designated sector. You're going to jail.
What was assumed as normal to have just a generation ago is today so out of reach.
Thought says that's an NSB rant if I ever heard one. She's right. She's absolutely right.
For ordinary people that
She's
society
right.
now considers it a luxury. Canadians may call this country home, but for far too many, Canada.
Yeah, because in my town, there's it's kind of a nicer town, right? It's a nice little beach town. And there's a lot of money that runs around here, and like a lot of very old people that like the aesthetic, like the vibe. Half the shops on Main Street are owned by women with rich husbands that just got bored, and so they wanted to have a little artsy shop on and they don't make money. But like they charge out the ass for everything. Oh, this little trinket is $2,000. No, I'll never sell it. I like it. So what is this shop for? Just to show off my things. What? What? Why do we? Okay. But people do come in. Other boomers come in. And they're like, oh, this is so charming and shit like that. I fucking hate them. I hate them. I really do. Especially the ones from New York. Oh, my God. I want to strangle them. Oh, my God. Every time. Oh, my God. It's so humid here. Oh, my God. Oh, look at how charming this is. Let's go get an ice cream after this. You're fat enough. Please stop. Please stop. Die. Just die. It's like offensive that you're still alive. To all of my senses. Including my sense of justice and morality. Right? But that's not even the one I'm most worried about. It's my sight and my smell that you're assaulting the most, sir.
Is now a home without homes. And it's not just the cost of housing that's killing the nation. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the systemic problems this country faces. It would be one thing to only struggle with affording a place to live, but Canadians are also struggling to...
Feral Pigeon says, I stand by this when it comes to making improvements on my home. You don't need a permit if you don't tell them. My town doesn't have the staff to enforce that shit. That's what I thought, too. And also, I don't know if we saw this on... was it my show? Was it Daywave? Something else? Some guy built a... I think I saw it on Twitter. Some guy built a shed in his backyard, right? Just a little shed. No one could see it. No one could see it. Not his neighbors, not the county or anything like that. But somebody reported him and said there is an illegal shed in this man's backyard. And so the police department sent up a drone over this man's backyard and said, yep, there it is. And they cited him for it, for an illegal shed in his backyard because he didn't get a permit for it. They sent up a drone to spy on this man's backyard so they could give him a ticket. Luckily, the judge, because it did go to court, the judge was like, the man deserves a reasonable expectation of privacy, and this, you didn't get a warrant to do this, so I'm going to throw out the citation, which I thought was absolutely the right call. But it is amazing. I put up a fence recently, and the city came knocking. They're all like, we want our motherfucking money. And I was like, and I paid them. I did. I paid them. But fuck no. Fuck no. If I'm putting up something in my house, I'm not getting a permit. No, fuck you. This is my property. I get to do what I want. I'll build a latrine right next to the road.
To afford a life to live. Because combine this housing crisis with a broken economy that results in food, gas...
Thought says PCPs and pediatricians, primary care physicians, practitioners, whatever, and pediatricians do okay, but even then they're all trying to get over here. Over here? Oh, from Canada? I wouldn't live in Canada. I would never fucking live in Canada.
And well, everything being so much more expensive compared to other.
Yeah, you gotta have cool neighbors too. Everyone here minds their business, and we're not an HOA. I don't live in an HOA, and I have enough space for me and my neighbors where they don't notice me, right? Unless I'm shooting a gun on my property, which they do get kind of upset about. So I stopped doing that. But it is legal for me to do that. I do have the required amount of property, and I checked all the ordinances, and it says I can do that. But they still don't like it very much. And then the police will come. The police will come, and they'll be like, yeah. So, but fine. They don't see me. I don't see them. I don't hear them. They usually don't hear me.
Countries, and you have a nation that has one of the highest household debts in the world, with nearly half its citizens struggling to meet day-to-day expenses.
Thought says, wait, you have to pay the city for the shit to do on you do on your own land that improves the property? Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. That's the essence of permitting. Anything, literally anything you do. As long, I think you could, like, I think they even want to permit gardens and stuff these days, but that might not be true. But basically anything semi-permanent or permanent that you do on your property, it requires a permit. And then the permitting department doesn't know shit. They don't know anything. They have no idea what's legal and what's not legal. They're just like, pay us or whatever. And then you don't even know if you're like up to code, or they have no idea what's going on. It's filled with retards.
But it gets even worse. If you live in a place like California, sure, prices are high and life for many there is painfully unaffordable, but at least Californians get paid Californian wages.
Despite, says affluent beach town blues, despite glass houses, sir.
Now imagine instead of struggling with California prices on a California wage, we somehow found a country where people are paying for things as if they lived in America's most expensive state.
He should tell him how long it took you to pay for the permit. It didn't take me, well, it did actually take me several weeks, right? Because they're like, well, our system's down. We can't take your money. I'm trying to give you money. I took a day off to come here to give you money. And then you're like, we can't take it. We can't take your money. Our system's down. I don't fucking care. I don't care. I don't care if your system's down. I came here. I took a day off of work to come here and fucking do it. You better take my goddamn money. It took several weeks to pay them. And if we had not paid them on time, they would have charged us $500 a day for a late fee, while not being able to process our payment. It doesn't matter if they can process it or not. As long if it's late, it's late. They're hitting you with a bill, right? Fuck all that noise, dude.
But making less money than America's poorest state.
$500 a day? $500 a day. That is a wild. Do you pull that out of your ass? Didn't you? You just said, you're like, what's a wild sum of money that I could just make up and then force people to pay at my will because I'm the big lord of the town? That's what you did. That's exactly what you did.
Well, that sick and twisted world is unfortunately reality for millions living in Canada. The home of Hollywood, LA, is known to have some of the most expensive gas in the land of the free. Canada has their own Hollywood in the north.
Gas has been pretty reasonable. I think I paid $2.60 for diesel last time. $2.70 maybe. Pretty reasonable around here.
Vancouver, which is exactly like Hollywood if Hollywood was cold, dark.
And if that's not reasonable for you, I came from California where $5 was normal. $5 for a gallon was normal of just normal standard gas.
And rainy most of the year, and so generic of a location that every type of movie possible has used the place as its setting. I'm sorry, but it's just true. Vancouver is
Despite says day off from Daywave does not count as a day off from work. You're right.
Is the stunt double for every other city in the world. The price
Knobs Dog says $2.47 today for gas. Very nice. Yeah, gas is like $50 a barrel right now, which could be a very bad indicator for the economy. If because like how much does it take to pull a barrel of oil out of the ground? I mean, like, are you even breaking even? That's not great. That means even though the economy's doing well, stocks are at all-time high, everyone's getting rich. It's not everyone. It's just the people at the top with assets. That means everyone's getting poor as shit. No one can afford to actually drive anywhere in their car. You can't drive anywhere in your car. You can't pick up food. You can't go out to restaurants. The food can't make it to grocery stores. The entire thing. You guys know, right? It's the entire thing. All of it is just slowing down really quickly in a really bad way. And sure, we haven't seen the full force of what that means yet, but maybe by next summer we will.
Of gas up there, after converting loonies to dollars and liters to gallons, is 10 to 20% higher than LA, one of the most expensive cities in the state with the most expensive gas. The BBC conducted an investigation that took a basket of everyday groceries and found that Canada's bill came out to be 33% more expensive than the US and 48% more than the UK.
Damn, that sucks. Because food is not my worst expense. It's not. Well, like, my biggest expense is probably just maintaining my house. It's expensive to maintain a house. It really is. But, like, food is not that cheap. It's not that cheap. So if you're to bump my food bill 30%, I'll level with you guys. I don't know how much I spend on food. I don't do the food shopping.
Other reports show that basic staples such as bread, meat, milk, and eggs are all typically more expensive in Canada than...
Pop says, let's do a video of you riding the one wheel and using a flamethrower and burn Christmas trees. Let's do it. Okay. That actually sounds like fun. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, if I could get seriously injured in multiple ways, yeah, that's going to be a good time.
Down south. The result of this disparity is that...
Do you think we need a permit? Yes, I do, but that doesn't mean we're going to get one.
1 in 5 Canadians today are food insecure, and scurvy.
Whoa! So, like, whoa! So, a quarter? Wow! And look up here. Most people don't have access to food. Most people are food insecure up here. I'm sure that's all Inuits and stuff, and I don't care about them. But, like... it's pretty bad. Are the polar bears eating all the seals? I don't know. I don't know the situation going on here. But this is terrible. This is third world country stats. This is really, really, really bad. That's not good at all.
You know, the thing pirates used to get hundreds of years ago?
Oh, yeah, they're getting scurvy up there. Not here in Florida, baby. I got 2 orange trees. I can walk out, and then I could grab an orange, and I'll eat it, and I'll be like, no scurvy for me. I'm good. No scurvy. I have teeth. I got all of them. They're all originals. They're all there.
Yeah, that's making a comeback in Canada. Enough where the Canadian Medical Association felt they needed to issue a warning for doctors to be on the lookout for signs of scurvy in their patients.
Do you know how long it takes to get scurvy? Do you know how little vitamin C you need in your body to actually develop scurvy? It takes months to develop scurvy. Well, maybe not that long, but a very long period of time to develop scurvy. You really don't need that much vitamin C. But it's good to have, don't get me wrong. I can't believe, how are you getting scurvy? You don't have a lime? You don't go and get a gin and tonic? You get 1 gin and tonic a week with a lime. You're good. You're good to go. No scurvy. You're good. I don't know. I imagine it would be like that.
Turns out, the last Saskatchewan pirates are still with us.
Sulk, your orange tree matured? Yeah, both of them produce. Both of them produce a lot of oranges.
Perhaps the biggest reason behind these higher prices is the unfortunate fact that Canada has a cartel problem. Not the Breaking Bad type, but every industry being dominated by a few giant...
Farrell says all you have to do is like the outside of an apple once a year to keep from getting scurvy. What? Really? I mean, like, that's not even too far off. Like, that's... Because, like, you don't need tons of vitamin C, right? You need some vitamin C, but not like tons of it. Licking the outside of an apple once a year is pretty funny.
Corporations, so they don't have incentive to compete type. Imagine you live in Canada. You stop by the Loblaws around the corner to buy some flowers for your anniversary.
The Loblaws? Like Bob Loblaw? Bob Blob?
Because if you forgot, it means you don't love her anymore. Next week, you do your big shopping haul at Superstore, where you find some amazing deals like $19 for 4 chicken breasts, $6 for tomato sauce, $20 for cheese, and $8 for chips.
$8 for chips? I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't pay that. I would pay the $20 for the chicken breast, but I would not be pleased by that. I feel like I'm lying to you guys because I'm not even sure how much chicken breast costs right now. Honey, she doesn't know.
A few days later, you go to the nearby Shoppers.
How much are chicken breasts? $8? Tops?
Drug Mart to receive your prescription that helps you deal with the pain of
not for like a pack of 4. That seems high. That even seems high.
All these prices. Then the week after, you pick up some more stuff at No Frills to restock on those perishables that just ran out. Throughout this entire time, all the places you went to shop at were just one large corporation called Loblaw Companies Ltd, controlled by a powerful billionaire dynasty known as the Weston family. You see, Canadians are given the illusion that they have plenty of options.
This is the case for everybody. Like, most of our food supply is run by like 3 companies. And those 3 companies in turn are run by like one hedge fund. So yeah, you think you have all these different options, and you do, sure, but like it's all owned by like one guy or one family, right? That's just how it is.
To choose from. But in reality, 5 conglomerates control the vast majority of Canada's entire retail market, which creates a perfect environment for them to start colluding together to raise their prices. Now that might sound like a crazy
Pop says chicken thighs are better and you can get them for $3. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. I have no argument with that. I like chicken thighs better.
Conspiracy theory. Until you learn they were caught doing exactly that with bread, which is estimated to have cost the average household roughly $400 from 2001 to 2015. But don't worry, justice was served, with most of them still dragging their feet in court to this day. And meanwhile, Loblaws offered people
dragging a bitch. I'm dragging a bitch.
$5 gift card to apologize for their fraud. Hey, Roblaw's here. We'll be nice and give a fraction of that money we stole from you over the years. And to add insult to injury, we're not letting you use it on anything other than buying more of our stuff. And keep in mind, they had the audacity to defraud people with something as common and blatantly out in the open as bread, and it still took them over a decade to get caught. So if you somehow think they're only colluding over baked goods and not messing with other products that are much harder to investigate, boy do I have a house in Vancouver to sell you. And I wish it was just the food, but cartels also control Canada's banks, telecommunications, airlines, and so many other industries.
It's not different in the United States. It's not. It's not. It's all run by cartels. Everything is run by like one dude, one family, or maybe a small handful of families, right? That's how it is. And it sucks, right? And it should be broken up by monopoly laws, but it won't be. It won't be. When they broke up Standard Oil or U.S. Steel or something like that, it was a matter of time before those corporations just ate each other up and became another monopoly. Right? They just went, yeah. I think Standard Oil was broken up into like Shell or like Chevron or like other large companies, right? But then they waited like 10, 15, 20 years, and then they just bought each other up, and now they're just the same fucking monopoly again. And it's like, oh, it's fine because they're different companies. No, it's not, because they're still owned by one fucking entity. They're still owned by one monopoly, right? Just because they have different names on them doesn't mean they're competing in any way. No, they're just screwing us all over. We're competing with them. to survive.
Which result in Canadians paying higher prices for everything from mortgages to the internet to traveling. Strangely enough, Canada has a problem with both overregulation and underregulation. Overregulation in the sense that the government makes it nearly impossible for companies abroad to compete in Canada, which would actually create an incentive for Canadian firms to make better quality products at a more affordable price. And underregulation in the sense that authorities don't seem to care if industries are consisting of fewer and fewer players as a result of mergers and acquisitions. In fact, just recently, Canada's biggest financial institution acquired the 7th largest in the country. And when it comes to your phone and internet, Canada's number 3 just merged with number 4 as well. In summary, the government seems to be totally fine with large corporations gobbling up all the smaller players to then jack up their prices and refuse to improve their product, just as long as it's a company from Canada. Okay, so we've established that for much of life's necessities, Canadians are often paying more than their neighbors down south. But surely they must be making at least as much as Americans to compensate for these ridiculous prices, right? The truth is, Canada's real GDP per capita has stagnated for nearly a decade, with the country's standard of living on track for its worst decline in 40 years.
Nice, Canada. Awesome. Good work. What would be wrong with United States annexing Canada? What would seriously be wrong with that? I feel like they would be a lot better off. It seems like it sucks up there, dude. They would be a lot better off.
Median earnings in all 10 Canadian provinces are now lower than all 50 US states, which means they would be the 51st to 60th poorest states in
Thought you eat blue cheese? I can't do that. It's gross. Blue cheese is disgusting.
the Union if Trump's wish actually came true. The Economist reached a similar conclusion. Average wages in America's poorest state, Mississippi, are higher than the average in Canada. Even the Fed's own
And remember, that $12 million shit shack, that was $12 million, and they're making less than people in Mississippi? Mississippi is disgusting. I've never been there, but I assume I won't go there. But it's Mississippi. No.
data admits to this tragedy. According to the latest numbers from both governments, the
despite I don't care about your opinion.
median annual income in the United States is $48,000. In Canada, it's $43,000. You might be thinking,
Canadian. That's Canadian dollars. That's Canadian. That's Canadian dollars. It's not even real money. That house was 12 million US dollars. You're making 43K Canadian dollars, which is, I don't know what that is in real dollars, but I know it's not as much.
$5,000, that's not as bad as you're making this sound, Bofang, until you realize that Canadian number is in Canadian currency, which means it's actually $30,000. Even after
Oof. So that's poverty. That's legit straight up poverty. That's poverty. That is poverty. There's no fucking way. That's poverty, dude.
After factoring in nerdy econ stuff like purchasing power parity, the disparity in standard of living between the two countries is at its worst point in decades. This is, unfortunately, the dark reality of living in Canada. Millions of Canadians paying California prices on a Mississippi wage. As a result of this harsh economic reality, Canada is facing record amounts of its best and brightest leaving her for a better life abroad. Now you might be thinking it's mostly just actors and musicians, right? Obviously they'll have
Go back, Drake. Go back.
to come to America to make it big. And true, for decades, Canada has always had its fair share of talent go south, particularly in the arts and entertainment field. But now, it's more than just movie stars. It's engineers, athletes, entrepreneurs, influencers, scientists, the media. It's even America's politicians. At every level of society, this international cabal of poutine-eating, milk-bag-drinking Canadians who hide their stench of maple syrup have infiltrated and taken over prominent roles in the American public. Hell, for all you know, even I could be one of them. But there's an easy explanation for this great Canadian conspiracy.
I think Canadians should have less rights in the United States. fewer rights in the United States. And they should always wear like an armband with a maple leaf on it. So we know to treat them as lessers, as less than, right? I don't like it how Canadians are just walking amongst us, right? Living, eating our food, breathing in our freedom. No. Didn't they burn down the White House at some point? Didn't that happen? Was that them? I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like it when Mexicans do it either, but they're a lot easier to spot.
The brain drain starts as early as high school, when talented, aspirational kids across the country apply for coveted spots in America's...
Farrell says they do have fewer rights. I know, yeah, but like way back. Like not just a few fewer rights, like far fewer rights. I think that's about all foreigners.
Most prestigious institutions. For those of you proud of your Canadian colleges, sorry, but you don't even come close to these academic giants who are busy taking thousands of Canada's brightest students every year, many of whom end up choosing to stay in the US instead of going back. Part of this problem is an expected result of larger
3/5 is a little bit generous, Christian. That's a little bit generous.
Neighbors attracting talent, which is as natural.
A fifth is better. 1/5. So that means you get to walk around, but not at night. And you get to, do other things. But not many of them. Only 1/5 of the things. And you have to pay double for all your groceries.
As the laws of gravity.
There's going to be an American price and then a Canadian price. All right? There's going to be differences. We can make it all other countries, right? And let's stop handing out green cards. Completely. In citizenship. 100% completely. And let's just put them all on boxcars and send them to camps.
But a lot of this brain drain is self-inflicted.
That's what I want. That's what I've been beating around the bush the entire time. That's what I really want to do. I don't want to send them back. Send them back. We don't even have to do that.
Coming from years of policies that make the environment for young, aspirational, talented Canadians unnecessarily difficult. There's perhaps no better way to explain this issue than to look at the depressing state of Canada's national pastime, ice hockey. The only sport where part of the game is to let its players...
Oh, you know what? We should desegregate ice hockey. And then a guy gets stabbed in the neck with a skate. And they're all like, what a terrible accident. Come on. We knew this was going to happen. So a hockey player gets his neck almost, like his head almost decapitated because some black ice hockey, the only black hockey player was like, I'm going to commit a murder on the ice. And then everyone's all like, oh, come on, man. And then... You're not surprised. It's just like, it's like when you hand a toddler a glass of milk and then you like turn around for a second and then you're like, the milk is all over the fucking floor. And then you're like, oh man, it's not like you didn't expect it to happen, but it's just.
Players beat the absolute shit out of each.
Feral Pigeon for $5. She says 16. All right, let's roll it. Let's do it. 16. Here it comes. 16 on the board. All bets are over. Here it is. And it is 27 red. Sorry, but thanks for the $5.
For those outside North America, the big four major sports leagues consist of the NFL, the NBA, MLB, and lastly, the National Hockey League, often overshadowed and forgotten by its three bigger brothers. What's so depressing for hockey fans in Canada is the fact that the Stanley Cup, the NHL's version of the Super Bowl, hasn't been won by a single Canadian team in over 30 straight years.
Oof. Wait, I thought hockey was like your whole thing. I thought hockey was your whole gig, and that's like, but you haven't won in 30 years? Why do you still want to be a country? I don't get it. You pick people like Justin Trudeau to run your country, and then everything's on fire. It's all overrun by like Indians and Muslims and stuff like that. You have to pay $12 million for a shit shack, and you haven't won an NHL, Stanley Cup, whatever it is, in 30 years. In 30 goddamn years. It is your sport. You haven't won in 30 years. What are you doing, Canada? Why do you continue to be a country? Why do you continue? No, we want to be Canadians. We're Canadians. It sucks up there, dude. Everybody's leaving. Everybody's leaving. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them whatsoever. I resent it a little bit, but that's not here or there, right? It sucks there. And like, get the fuck out. I don't think America should take refugees. Ever. But like Canada, I kind of get it, right? Run! But like, don't bring that Canada shit down here. All right? Don't bring that Canada shit. All that Canada shit, don't bring that here.
Here's just how long ago 1993 was. Most baby boomers were still in their...
Knobs makes a good point for once in his entire life. He says, haha, fuck you, Canada. Hockey is ours, and we don't even care. We don't. We don't give a shit about hockey. No one gives a shit about hockey here. And yet we're still dominating it. And you love hockey. It's your bread and butter, man. Wayne Gretzky is your idol. I think he's Canadian, but he doesn't live there anymore. Because why the fuck would he? Why would he? There's no... And we don't give a shit. That is such a slap in the face. That is such a slap in the face. And we don't even try. We don't even care. We don't even care. We'll take your Stanley Cup and we'll piss in it.
20s and 30s. DVDs weren't even invented yet. George Bush was still president at the start of the year. No, the original George Bush. The Dallas Cowboys were actually a good team.
I don't care about football.
If we were to start at a baseline assumption that Canada and the US are both about as good at playing hockey, the odds of a Canadian team failing to win a single Stanley Cup since 1993 is roughly 1 in 2,500. So it's obviously not all because of bad luck. If it was, you had a better chance of being born with an extra limb than seeing this 30-plus year drought. But it isn't because people in Canada suck at hockey either. In fact, there isn't a single American team without at least a few Canadians in their roster. However, that is actually part of the answer here, because every season, numerous Canadians of the highest caliber jump the border to skate in the US and deliver victories for American teams. Top players considered to be the greatest of all time move down south for better opportunities, more favorable tax rates, and the fact that the good old US of A is
It's not Canada. That's the fact. It's not Canada.
just a better place for those who have the talent and work ethic to succeed. Furthermore, NHL teams in Canada don't actually need to be good to survive, unlike their American counterparts.
They don't need to be good to survive because there's no one else there. Like, do you guys remember when that female pro soccer team went up against a boys high school team that was like, I think we're all 14, 15 years old. And they absolutely got demolished. The women's team absolutely, it was ridiculous. It was like 15-0, right? And that's how it is with Canada hockey versus American hockey. It's not. It's like the little kid that's like swinging and you're just holding him back by his forehead and he's it's not even fair. It shouldn't even be considered.
Let me explain. In the US, if your local hockey team sucks and consistently loses over and over again, most people are gonna think twice about going to their games, buying their merch, and maybe even watching all together, and instead choose to support their city's basketball, football, or baseball team. But in Canada, if the Calgary Flames can't even make it to a single final in over 20 years, what are their fans gonna do? Stop watching and start cheering for Calgary's NFL team? How about their NBA team? MLB? Besides Toronto.
They have those? What? Calgary has those? They have an NFL team? No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Every other city in the country is stuck.
What? Give me the names. What is Calgary's NFL, MLB, and NBA teams? Give me the name. I want to know the name.
With supporting their hockey team, which means stadiums will always be filled, merch will always be sold, and eyeballs will always be on the screen. No matter.
Yeah, this is accurate because you're forced to watch, and you're like, this sucks. I hate this. I hate living here. I bought this $20 piece of chicken and it's cold. No wonder you drink so much. No wonder.
No matter how dog shit they are, hockey holds a near
they don't have any. There's no way.
Monopoly in the world of Canadian sport, and every team up there is.
You know what? Jacksonville has an NFL team. Jacksonville. And Jacksonville is actually a pretty big city, but it sucks. Jacksonville sucks. It sucks. You suck, Jacksonville. But they still have an NFL team, right? They still have that.
Is essentially an oligarch for each region, pocketing the guaranteed income without ever having incentive to push themselves to the limit. Something any team in any sport needs in order to actually win a major.
Background says if their hockey team is the Flames, then the rest of them have to be just as fruity. Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Major League Championship.
I don't know what it would be, but it doesn't matter because no one's ever going to hear about them.
Look, I'm sure every player wants to win, regardless of nationality.
Pop says Leonard Skinner's from Jacksonville. They're pretty good. So fucking what? So what? A band from half a century ago was from there. Half a century ago. So what? That's like saying, I don't know what it's like saying, but it's, come on, so fucking what?
But if an organization knows that the money is coming in, regardless of how poorly they perform.
Thought says I don't hate Jax. Yeah, well, I do.
Complacency and stagnation become inevitable.
Look, I'm not saying Leonard Skinner is a bad band. You guys are completely missing the point. You guys are First of all, Jacksonville was not the same city 50 years ago. Now it's filled with like Latinos and stuff. And there's always been a lot of black people there, but like I'm sure there's more now. But that's not the point. All right? That's not the point.
Canada's horrendous record in the NHL is just a small but insightful example that
Allman Brothers are from Daytona. Really? I didn't know that.
Serves as a perfect microcosm of the country's catastrophic brain drain. The financial hurdles that incentivize the very best to take their...
Just says, wow, you hate Leonard Skinner. Didn't say that.
Skills and intelligence abroad. The oligopolistic tendencies of so many...
Why do I hate Jacksonville? Because I've been there.
Industries, resulting in a lack of pressure for...
That's why. I've been here and I was like, this place is gross. This is like a pirate town that tried to be a city, but it's still a gigantic pirate town.
Organizations to do better. This issue is grossly underreported since it's not a disaster we can observe within a day.
Thought says there are brown people everywhere and way more in the South. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not specifically just the black people. That's not the issue, right? Because, like, yeah, there's a lot of black people in Los Angeles, too, but they keep them, you know, in, like, Compton and shit. But they're everywhere. No, look, it's a gross place. It's a gross city, all right? And I don't like cities in general. I don't love San Francisco. That might be it. I don't like cities. I don't like cities at all. I don't like being in cities. I don't like driving to cities. When I like drive down the highway and I see myself entering a city, I get a bunch of anxiety. I'm like, oh man, this is going to fucking suck. This is going to suck. Everyone's going to be rude as shit. There's going to be nowhere to park. Everything's going to be way overpriced. It's going to suck. And you know what? I haven't been wrong yet.
A month, or even a year. Rather, it is a slow-moving, yet fatal problem that can destroy nations if left unanswered. So if you're a top programmer, why use ChatGPT in Toronto when you can do the same in Silicon Valley and triple your income? If you're a gifted kid looking for the best education, why go to the Ivy program when you can study at an actual Ivy program? If you're a brilliant actor, why be limited to Hollywood North when you can make a name for yourself in the real Hollywood? If you're a hardcore finance bro, why overwork to death on Bay Street when you can do the same on Wall Street for twice the comp? Ask yourself this: what are the long-term effects of a society that constantly pushes out its top-performing, most aspirational people to other countries? Well, we already see its result in the National Hockey League and other.
All right, next time you thought you're down here, we'll go to Jacksonville. You can show us around Jacksonville. How about that? You show me the city of dreams, Jacksonville. Is that all right? You down for that?
Industries aren't looking too great either. So maybe if smart, hardworking, talented Canadians have more incentive to stay, and NHL owners, coaches, and even players start having the mentality of, hey, if we don't perform this year, our team could end up going bankrupt. Maybe, just maybe, will there be a day when the Stanley Cup finally comes home to Canada. As you've probably figured out by now, yes.
Knob says, I hate cities. Living in Philly for 9 years for me cured me from ever living in a city again. I've never been to Philly. Wait, have I? Have I been to Philadelphia? I don't think so. But Philly seems like it would suck too. I don't think I've been to Philadelphia, but I don't think I want to go there. I've never been to New York. Not interested. Not really interested. Not interested. San Francisco, LA. I've been to London and Paris and Rome and but they're all I just don't like cities. I don't like being in them. Rome is actually kind of nice.
I am Canadian, so everything I've talked about here has not only been researched, but also
Critical Thought says I didn't call it the City of Dreams. Yes, you did. I remember specifically. It's right there. I saw it.
Informed by my personal experience with having to keep up with soaring rent, groceries, and everything else going on in Canada.
St. Augustine is the same, beautiful as fuck. It's a place to retire, not to start your life. St. Augustine is awesome. St. Augustine's not a city though, right? It is technically a city, but so is New Smyrna. New Smyrna is a city, but it's not really though. I'm not talking like that. I'm talking like a city, a proper city. I don't like those. St. Augustine is awesome. Go visit. Savannah up in Georgia, fantastic place, right? Not Jacksonville.
YouTube isn't demonetizing my content. I'm humbled and grateful if I'm making minimum wage creating these videos. Though truthfully, it's becoming
By the way, I made $5 tonight.
Impossible to survive relying on ad revenue alone. There's a reason why most creators
I thought you guys were gambling addicts. Can you please? There's a wheel here and everything. Or you don't even have to gamble. You could just be like, hey, John, we appreciate you. No.
Just pump out easy slop for the masses. It takes so much less time and effort, and the reward from this platform is often the same, if not better. So if you're enjoying my content and are able to help me make more videos like this, please consider supporting me on Patreon or YouTube. I seriously cannot do this without your backing. Also, if you
Here, I'm gonna help a brother out, and I'm gonna drop his link in the chat. Just because I feel, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Give him a plug.
think these issues I'm bringing up deserve more attention, please like the video and subscribe so the algorithm will show this to more people. Thank you. Although
I get it. We out here. It's been tough lately. Money's been tight. And I get it. It's the time of year. I get it.
Choice to leave Canada is just like owning a home, a luxury usually only the privileged can enjoy. But how are
Thought says I love Savannah and go about twice a year. It's definitely gotten more ghetto each time I go. Yeah, man, and that's so fucking true. It's just that's just the places. Farrell bitching for another fiver, and she says 33. All right, let's see it. 33, roll it. I like this. I like this little bit we got going because I'm scared about it too. Oh, and it's the double lot. Or is it a single lot? Single lot. Sorry. God, if you guessed, okay. if you guessed a color, which is $100, and then you said green, and then I would have to say whatever you wanted the entire show, because that would have been, but thankfully that didn't happen.
Or ordinary folks faring in the Great
Thankfully,
White North.
that did not happen.
We know their economic security is getting worse. However, what about their personal
That did not happen, but maybe one day it will, and then that'll be crazy.
security? Is Canada at least becoming a safer place for regular people just trying to make
Nah, she clearly didn't do what her husband told her to do.
ends meet?
My 5-year-old daughter opens her door, and she comes out of her room in her nightgown, just like rubbing her eyes. And this guy takes the gun off of me and puts the gun right up to her head.
They started slicing my arms.
Guns treated like toys and lives treated as afterthoughts.
This brazen carjacking at a Newmarket gas station while the victim was still pumping it with gas.
Have been released from custody after a bail hearing less than an hour before the incident occurred.
That's after police sent forth those arrested for the recent robbery.
And then remember, like, all this didn't start happening until like 2010 when they really started just pumping these people in, right? These aren't Canadians. They don't even speak English, most of them. And they don't speak French either. I know Canada has that. They also speak French, which is a little gay, but whatever. Hey, Famo.
Later, another smash and grab. The individuals committing these crimes are violent and are not deterred by the thought of being arrested. The alleged thief drives right at the police officer.
Yo.
Playing out as his wife and kids lock themselves in the bathroom.
From over 3,000 a year between 2014 and 2017, exploding to more than 12,000 cases last year.
Hog says Denver is lost to Democrat retard Karens. FOMO knows. I believe it. I 100% believe it. Dude, when are we going to start reeling in these Karens? Right? What's the deal when you're like a boomer housewife, or that you get to a certain age and then you're just like, I need to start really wielding my power. I need to start throwing around my weight, and for the smallest shit. Right? They do. It starts in coffee shops when they just absolutely unload on the barista, and they're like, "Yeah, I like the way that feels. I like the way that feels." And then they're like, "I'm gonna join the PTA. I'm gonna join the PTA." And then they start absolutely bashing heads in the PTA, and then they get the taste of it, a taste of power, and it just keeps rising. And then they start stealing and stuff because they're addicted to the rush. It's the rush.
Officers were confronted by as many as 10 suspects. This wild dash cam video shows them attempting to evade police.
Also, BMI's over 40 equals out. Yeah, I can get it.
Over the past year,
According to the walking field, just days after such a violent crime, they got really scared. It's like they want to get stabbed.
police say one of the suspects was on probation, and another had been released after a separate offense.
Dan Stott says, I love how Democrats try to point out violence in red states, but it's the cities like St. Louis, Houston, Memphis, etc. Yeah, they don't look. They want to point out their statistics without bringing up race because they don't think race is a real thing. They're like, oh, race doesn't exist. Show me the race gene. Show me the race is not a real thing. It's a cultural, or what do they call it? A cultural, it's like made up or something like that. I don't know. It is absolutely a real thing. It is absolutely. Why do you think the NBA is filled with black people? It's because they can jump really high. That's not some sort of like, that's a societal thing. You know, these people can jump high because society says they can jump. No, what? How does that even make sense? They don't make sense. They don't fucking make sense. What is the term I'm looking for? It's a cultural, I don't know.
Some people shrug away concerns about rising crime, understandably assuming it's just the media
Blacks and Democrats have ruined this country. Not fully, not completely, but I get where you're coming from.
sensationalizing events to make things appear worse, believing that crime is
We need to move the cult to Japan. No, we're going to set up an island. Help me out with the island fund, right? What was that, 8 mil? You guys can push me 8 milli, right? All of you combined must have a net worth of $8 million. I'd be shocked if you didn't. All of you combined must have a net worth of $8 million. If we all just chip that into the pot, and the pot is my bank account, by the way, then I'll buy an island. We can all live on the island. We can all drink coconut drinks and run around naked and stuff like that. We won't have to deal with this shit anymore. We're not going to have to deal with taxes or fucking bills or nothing like that. We'll grow like corn, and there's going to be sweet potatoes and stuff like that. We'll eat pig and stuff. We're going to be living a good life. Loincloths if you're shy, but it's not really all that necessary. Tell me this is a bad idea. Tell me this is a bad idea. Oh, it takes a lot of work. Yeah, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. All right? And you can't leave because it's an island, and I burned the boats.
Decreasing. But at least in Canada, this couldn't be further from the truth. According to the government's own data, in the past 10 years, overall crime across the country increased by over 20%, and violent crime is up 40%.
Big B says, just check my account. I'm a little short by a few million. Yeah, but it's not just you, Big. It's not just you. It's all yous. All yous. You must have cars. A couple of you own houses. You know, you got a bank account. We all just sell it all and then put it in a big account, which is my account. And then we just go. Everyone hop on the boat. Don't get attached to it. And then we're going to go. And then we're going to have minimal tools and shit like that. We'll start farming. It'll be fine. I got it covered.
30% at its highest level today since 2006. The fundamental issue is
I'll have a small weapons cache. Let's be real. It's going to be a very heavy weapons cache. It's going to be a lot of weapons. There's going to be a lot, like 40% of the budget.
Is that throughout Canada? A small number of mostly...
I'm going to have to be talking to some South Americans about right? It's going to be a weapons deal.
troubled young men are committing crimes,
Oh, but don't worry, because we're going to be nowhere near U.S. waters. We're going to be well in international waters. Well into international waters.
Arrested and then being released in little to no time, thus being responsible for a disproportionate amount of crime that terrorizes everyone else in society.
Despite says if I had that kind of money, I'd already have an island. No, God damn it, you guys. All of us together, not individually. God damn it. What do you not understand?
Often,
you know what? Now I lost a bunch of faith. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off because no one can understand pooling or anything like that. Am I going to have to explain per capita to you people too?
Harming or even killing innocent people
Jesus.
Who were already struggling to begin with. The province of British Columbia published data proving exactly this reality. In Vancouver, just 40 people were responsible for over 6,000 police contacts.
Holy shit! Execute them! Shoot them on sight. I'm sorry. How much money is that? How much money is that? Every time the police come out, isn't that tens of thousands of dollars? So if they're having that much of a negative impact on the economy, they're costing that. Shoot them. Shoot them dead. Shoot them dead immediately. I think I would be good at running the country. But don't worry, I don't have any political aspirations because I do this show instead. And I know there's no way anybody is going to let me run after all the shit they've seen on this show. But I think I would be pretty good at it. That's why we have to buy an island together, not individually, you goddamn retards, together. And we'll start a new utopia, right? It'll be like a new, we'll call it Sulk's Island. I don't know. We'll call it something. Background noise. I got 5 on it. Also 17. All right. Roll 17. Here we go. Here it is. 17. No. Nope. It was 29 black. Thanks for playing, though. And that's $5 closer to our island. That's $5 closer to our dream. Our utopia, where we will live in peace by ourselves, right? Raise our children and eventually take over other islands. Expand our nation.
With each prolific offender averaging 54 convictions. That's a
Pop says John for president. And even though he's my father-in-law, he still misspells my name.
few dozen people being responsible for over 2,000 convicted crimes. And remember, we're talking about convictions, which represent only a fraction of criminal charges pressed, which represent only a fraction of crimes reported, which represent only a fraction of crimes actually committed. So in reality, the amount of misery and violence these 40 people are responsible for is exponentially more than just the number of convictions on their record. And this report, along with others, show the exact same thing happening across every other city they analyze, revealing just how crazy Canada has become. Here's a real-life example of what I mean. On Sunday, a man tried to steal someone's car while they were still in it, got arrested and charged with attempted vehicle theft, and was immediately released.
But he did steal it, though, right? So it's not attempted. It's not attempted at all. He stole the car. He got in and he drove away. He stole that car. But they're all like, we're going to give you attempted, right? He's like, oh, thanks. And then they let him out the same day. Hold on.
Must have thought that was stupidly easy. So on Monday, the very next day, he assaulted a woman, stole her Tesla, crashed that Tesla into 2 more occupied cars, and then tried to steal another vehicle as he was running away. The police did their job as usual, arresting him.
Is this Grand Theft Auto? You're just running from car to car stealing it? No one's going to shoot this guy? This is why living in America is great. Because you're going to get shot if you do that. You're going to get shot unless you live in like one of the gay states, right? But if you live in Florida, you might get 1 car, possibly 2 car. But that 3rd car, you're going to get shot for sure. I would be surprised if you got to the 2nd car, but the 3rd car, you're definitely getting shot. That is 100% chance. Every car you steal, you have roughly a 33% chance of getting shot. So by that 3rd car, you're definitely getting shot.
For the 2nd time in a row and charging him with multiple offenses. Then he was released that very day again. At this point, he's thinking, boy, is it a wonderful time to be a criminal in Canada. They're absolutely allergic to stopping me.
Boy, I do wonder what color he was.
So, 24 hours later on Tuesday, he broke into someone's home while they were still there and robbed them. Now, if you think the legal system finally did something reasonable after 3 straight days of committing crimes, you clearly don't understand this country, because he was released on bail yet again. It's now just as easy to get away with Grand Theft Auto in Canada as it is in Grand Theft Auto. And this isn't just one.
No, it's actually harder. In Grand Theft Auto, when you steal a car, you're gonna get arrested. Do you get released the same day? I guess so. But
fringe case. There are so many more examples that it would take forever to even go through half of them, ranging from people constantly getting caught and let go so they can continue robbing random citizens, to criminals with dozens of violent convictions being freed so they can go on a murder spree in their local communities. A man stepped up.
Damn, dude, those aren't even. Look, those are easy targets too. Not one was like a difficult, like an honorable kill. These are all, and I'm sorry they're dead, don't get me wrong, but like these are all easy kills, right? So like, I mean, you're going on a killing spree, you're not even going to try for like a trophy, right? Like a big 6'5" Swedish dude, right? A fucking jacked. No, you're just going, we're doing a numbers thing, right? It's quantity over quality over here. What if a hunter did that? And he's just stacking does, right? Not a buck amongst them. Just stacking like tiny one, like little fawns, right? Little babies. They still get the spots and everything. It's like, yeah, that one felt nice. I guess that's what they do. I guess that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, that one really made me feel like God. Whoa.
Out of his home as he was calling his fiancée and was beaten and brutally stabbed multiple times, inches from certain death. Police investigators later informed the victim that it would take years for the perpetrator to be brought to trial, and even if it
So no, they're just choosing not to do anything.
Went to trial, he almost certainly won't get.
However, if you forget to run a permit or you say something mean on the internet, you're going to jail, motherfucker, and probably for a long ass time, right? I know this. England and Canada are very similar in this way, right? Where like these people go around doing horrible crimes, and then they get let out on bail the same day. But if you were like, hey, maybe all these Muslims shouldn't be killing everybody, you're going to jail for years, dude. Years. I think we all know what's going on. Okay. I'm not saying that.
At any jail time, just like many other lovely people, which means someone who knows where you live because he saw you step out of your home, knows your face because he was busy stabbing you to death, and knows your name because his horrific crime actually made the news this time, is allowed to walk free, stressing you out for the rest of your life.
Kill him, then. Kill him back. But you can't do that. You know why? Because you're not a refugee from fucking Somalia or something like that. You're not from like Guatemala or some bullshit like that. No, you're just this white Canadian dude with like a 9-to-5 and like a wife and 2.5 kids. You're just like, I'm just trying to pay my mortgage. I can't go on a fucking killing spree. I can't go on a manhunt, right? For a guy that's most likely going to put my family in danger again at some point. But you should. You honestly should. If you have any ball sack in your body, if it's hanging down between your legs, dude, you should really just be like, I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, and then it's going to be over. Right? All right? I'm going to take a night off. All right? I'm not going to tell anybody what's going on. All right? I'm just going to walk places. You know, if I have a bike, an e-bike or something, I'll take an e-bike, right? Put a mask on. It's not going to be a problem. All right? It'll be quick. It'll be over. It'll be clean. No one's going to know. Nobody's going to know. No one's going to know for a while. It'll be easy.
And so to come back.
And then you start plotting, right? And then you start following him. Then you're like, okay, I understand. I know how this is going to go. He's going to walk out 2:30. I'm going to stab him in the face. I'm going to walk away. It's over.
Any day to finish the job. That's fair.
That's easy.
At the same time, doctors in the hospital were working hard to save an innocent man's life, the attacker was let go. That's Canada for you. A country where the criminal gets released before the victim. To be clear, the
criminal gets released. So the victim's still in the hospital, like on life support. Like, and the criminal's like, okay, wow. Waiting outside the hospital, probably. And he's like, okay, so he's going to be released, and then I'm going to kill him again.
The solution isn't to just become a totalitarian police state, nor is it to make the same errors other countries make, where far too many are locked up for things that didn't harm anyone, while not nearly enough funding is provided for mental health services and treatment for addiction. But surely we can find something between jailing people for having weed and
vigilantism. I think vigilantism covers all of that, right? The problem is the government is getting in the way. The problem is mandatory sentencing, and then not doing stuff for like things that really need it. So like a guy goes to jail for the rest of his life for pot, right? For like having a doobie on him or something, and then like some cholo comes in and slaughters a family, and then he gets released on bail the same day, and they're like, it's the system. We can't. Our hands are tied. Okay, let vigilante. It's not even let vigilantism. It's just start doing it. Start taking care of business. Right? That's what you should do. If you want, I'm not saying everyone should be Batman, but like at least a third of us, aged men in relatively good shape, should go around and start being a little bit like Batman. A little bit, right? Think of just 1/10 of us did that, right? Once a month, went around and just started beating the shit out of minorities. I'm sort of kidding, this kind of. But like really though, I mean like what if we just started going out once a month, right? Oh, tonight's my night. And you just go out with a baseball bat wrapped in fucking barbed wire. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to let some steam off. There you go. Crime would drop precipitously. It would drop precipitously.
And getting 0 prison time for stabbing an elderly man to death, or dismembering your grandchild's mother and burning her body to hide the evidence, or driving through a residential school march and hitting 4 people with your pickup truck. Oh, sorry, there actually was a punishment for that last guy who was yelling racial slurs and screaming that he didn't care if he ran over children. He can't drive for a year. Also, surely there's a solution where we don't have to allow dangerous...
You can't drive for a year, that's inconvenient. That's inconvenient. But, you know, since he drove over a bunch of people, like drove through a parade and stuff, I don't know if he's like, oh, I'm not allowed to drive. I can't drive. I'm not allowed to. Well, you're not allowed to drive through a parade either. Yeah, but I'm like, I was just being crazy.
Dangerous men who have violent histories be released.
Come on. Vigilantism. Look, if we're not going to do the island thing, if we're not going to bring up 8 million, which I know you fuckers have, right? All of you together, 8 million. Easy. I know you have it. If we're not going to do that, at least go out and do some community building. Let's call it community building, right? Go out, put it like the red beret and the suspenders on and everything, and just start beating some fucking skulls in. Just start doing that, right? It's not going to be hard to find. You go to a bad part of the town. You go to the fucking Citizen app. You look up all the fucking pedophiles on there. It's not going to be hard to do. It's not going to be really that tough. It's not. It's not going to be tough to do. It would be super easy. It would be super duper easy. They're doing it, and they're not even planning anything. They're just going out and seeing what happens, you know. Just, you know, having a few drinks, smoking a little bud, you know, break in, kill a couple people. It's fine. They have no plan whatsoever. I'm not saying you should do anything. Legally, I'm not saying you should do anything. Legally, I am not promoting vigilantism.
Released on bail just so they can kill more innocent people. The definition of
this show is gonna get me arrested. I swear to God it is, dude. Like every fucking time I'm just pushing the limits. I'm like, it's a little bit more. Just a little bit more. But you guys are going to look back on these shows and they're going to be like the famous speeches of John. Like the Sulk speeches. You're going to look back and be like, yeah, that's when it started. That's when the change came.
Insanity is someone doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The definition of Canadian insanity is allowing someone to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm sorry, but if the police already arrested someone 10, 20, 54 times, but cruel, elitist, morally corrupt judges continue to allow
the judges are a problem. I mean, that's actually that's where I'm starting to get like, because you're not allowed to say and like, but like you're a professional judge. You are a professional judge of character, and you let somebody out 50 times, and every time you let them out, they do something terrible, horrible, and yet you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you're a professional judge. This is nothing but corruption. It has to be. Somebody's getting paid. Somebody's getting their palms greased or something like that. There's no way. Because I could find some Down syndrome kid eating fucking the fries off the bottom of a ball pit in a McDonald's. And he would do a better job than you.
The same few people make
he
life
would. He would
miserable
understand the basics of right and wrong, even though he's eating those stiff fries at the bottom of that germ-infested pit.
For everyone else, Canada has gone criminally insane. Much of the insanity covered thus far is unfortunately...
Knobstock says your mouth, not this show. My mouth does get me in trouble. It has been a thing. It has been a running theme in my life. And you know what? I'm letting it go. I'm just letting it go. Yeah, people don't like the things I say, But that doesn't mean they're wrong. They are offensive sometimes. But again, that does not mean they are incorrect. But now I can do it behind, and not like when I'm drunk at a bar and be like, well, you're a homo.
Exacerbated by one particular policy that's been rather controversial: Canada's broken immigration system. From the very moment European settlers arrived on indigenous soil, the continent of North America has always been a land of immigrants. We'll skip over the first half of history when explicit policies were made to exclude certain races from being able to immigrate, with perhaps the most notable example being when they forced Chinese people to pay a head tax for decades, and then just
That's kind of funny.
outright banned them from immigrating at all.
That's kind of funny.
It wasn't
But they still made it, right? Canada's filled with Chinese people. And the Chinese people aren't even the worst, dude. Like, they're not the greatest, don't get me wrong. But, like, out of the countries that we've been picking from, I would rather Chinese people, trust me, if it was the option to not have Chinese people, then that's the option I would pick. But, like, if it's between Somalians and, like, Haitians and, like, fucking Indians and stuff, yeah, I'll take Chinese people. Chinese people will be fine. Thank you. Chinese people will be more than okay. But the rest of them are really the problem.
Until 1976, when Canada introduced a points-based system that focused on the merit of each potential immigrant, assessing factors like their education, age, skills, language proficiency,
What happened to language proficiency? You don't even have, and they never even tried. In California, there is a large segment of the population that doesn't bother to speak English and has been in the country for decades. Like 4 decades. Never even bothered to learn the language. Not even a word of English. How do you live in a country for decades and not know a single sentence in that? Like, if I were to move to Germany, I would give it a good fair shot to learn German. And I would try to speak German as often as I possibly could. Not these people. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, dude. That because they don't consider themselves Americans. They're here in America, but they're Mexicans. Or they're Somalis or something like that. They don't like America. They don't give a shit if America goes down in flames. They don't give 2 fucks about that. Even if they take the oath and become citizens and all that, it's all a game. It's a ploy. All they're doing is getting as much cash as they possibly can, having a good time, having a good time. You can take that as you want to take that. And then eventually they plan on going back to Mexico or Somalia or something like that. Or maybe they might just live here. They're not Americans. They don't plan on becoming Americans. If they can turn this place into the place they're from, that would be better, but they're not Americans. They are not Americans. The difference between back in the Ellis Island days, when people had to come through, they wanted to be Americans. Coming from Ireland and England and France and Italy and all that, they wanted to come here and make this country great. That is the stark difference between previous immigrants and then modern immigrants. Modern immigrants don't give a fuck. They're here to welch off the welfare system. They're here to do nothing and rob people and actively make the country worse. And they have no stake in staying here. They have no desire to raise their kids in this society, in this culture at all. They're not Americans. This is a foreign invasion force. That's it. That is it.
Things that kind of matter. Unsurprisingly, this new framework resulted in decades of a consistent yet controlled stream of young, smart, talented people from all corners of the world.
Also, they're not smart. They're literally shipping in retards. They're shipping in 50 IQ people. Like 50. I know, look, that's below average even in Somalia. But there's got to be a few of them. If 61 is the average in Somalia, that means the smart ones have an IQ of 80. And the dumb ones are pushing 40 or 50. Which is well below a chimpanzee, by the way.
Contributing to Canada and assimilating in society.
I'm not kidding. That's not a joke. I'm not kidding. That's not a joke.
Up until recently, Canadians have been more or less satisfied, and often even proud of the fact that they were able to be a country which welcomed newcomers.
Big B says, my great-grandparents only spoke the language at home. They had enough after World War I. Well, there you go. I mean, like, fine if you want to speak it at home. Look, German was the most spoken language in the United States until World War I. And then in World War I, we kind of just generally decided that English was going to be the language that we all went with, even though America doesn't have a national language per se. But, yeah, I mean, like, we all decided English was going to be the one, and English was going to be it. That's what we decided. English, okay? If you're coming here from Somalia or fucking... Look, if a million fucking French people came in and then just refused to speak English, I'd be like, go home. Fuck off. Okay? If a million Germans came in and refused to speak English, I'd be like, fuck off. I try to do it so they understand. But fuck off, dude. No. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
While also ensuring those already there were prospering too. But here's where Canada's problem started. Because at the same time the country was doing so wonderfully for its permanent immigrants, they also introduced a worker program that brought in high-skilled people to temporarily fill certain holes in the labor market. This initially made sense, and there wasn't even a need for the government to have a limit on the program, since these professionals were only required on a case-by-case basis. But to keep a long and overly complicated story short, this original, well-meaning goal of carefully allowing a limited number of specialized workers to fill in genuine gaps across the economy slowly morphed into a mess of different programs riddled with loopholes corporations are exploiting to create a permanent pool of cheap, unskilled labor that's disrupting virtually every major industry and fundamentally changing the entire economy. Now for the temporary workers, this is great. An opportunity to be in a country where even working at Tim Hortons can pay more than some of the most prestigious jobs back home. And for employers, it's even better. You no longer have to deal with hiring Canadians who are used to silly things like a living wage, or safety protocols, or workers' rights. You can push these foreigners around all you want, because what are they gonna do? Complain and risk getting sent back? And most importantly, for the government that allows all this to happen, the campaign checks will keep rolling in because corporate backers love having a near unlimited supply of cheap labor they can exploit. Oh, and bonus points for being able to call anyone opposed to this racist. To be clear, you shouldn't be blaming the immigrants. They're not the ones who created Canada's policies, and the nation's housing, cost of living, and overall economy aren't failing because of them either. But immigration, permanent or temporary, when done...
Background noise says, when I hear that, I think the Constitution wasn't written in Spanish, was it? No, it was not. It wasn't written in... It wasn't the Rosetta Stone. No, it was written in English. It was written in English, and it was pretty clear.
Wrong adds another layer of stress to these areas that make existing issues worse. Yet bad policies can still survive as long as there's benefactors to the status quo. It benefits the immigrants because they can make more money than they did back home. It benefits the corporations because they have a never-ending stream of labor to take advantage of. And it benefits the government because they can continue being funded by lobbyists while also claiming their virtuousness. The only problem is...
This is claiming virtue is it's toxic, right? I'm such a good person. You just don't like immigrants because you're a racist. You're a bad person. Okay, look, I've been called a bad person a lot in my life. Like a lot, dude. I don't care. That's fine by me. Okay. I mean, you're like, if you're going around saying everybody that doesn't align with my thoughts, with my political beliefs, with my theories is a bad person, then so be it. I'll act like a bad person, according to you. And I feel no guilt about this. I feel no shame about being a bigot. It doesn't affect my sleep at night. I don't toss and turn and be like, oh, how could I say those terrible things? Even though they're right. No, I'm like, yeah, nailed it again, John. Put a stamp on this day because you're knocking it out of the park, buddy. I pat myself on the back and I sleep like a fucking baby.
It doesn't seem to particularly benefit those in the country.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just say, well, I didn't say those true things because it would have hurt somebody's feelings. Is that what we're going to do? As a society, we're all just going to be like, we're not going to say very true things. We're not going to point out very important, very true things because it might hurt a very small segment of society's feelings. Feelings. We're going to make all of our lives far worse because we don't want to be called racist or sexist or homophobic or some bullshit made up term that no one heard of before the year 1985. Fuck that noise. Fuck that noise. And I guess I'll end on that, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. Thanks for being part of the cult. Thanks for the donos. I really appreciate that. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. Listen and learn and observe and don't report me. I would really appreciate that. Until I see you guys tomorrow night, I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. Get out there. Stay strong. Make me happy. Make me proud. Be good cult members. And until then, drink a lot of water. Get a good night's sleep and take care of yourselves. Because I care about you too. I'll see you tomorrow night. Love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Black Ness Monster 2, government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, rolling like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.